Varya is a chef passionate about her art. She often daydreams about working in a fancy restaurant to the approval of her idol and mentor, but in reality, she's a cook at a roadside diner. Regardless, she's optimistic, even having a social media account where she posts pictures of her artistic skills. The waitress Lyubov might seem tough, but she's supportive, painting Varya in the best light to the waiting customers. She excitedly comes back with positive remarks from the men. They think Varya's dishes are lovely looking. Not long after, the men call out with complaints. They hate the meal and won't pay, not caring for Varya and Lyubov's explanations. A livid Lyubov then fires Varya. Varya's mother only makes matters worse. She believes that if Varya can't keep a job, she should at least consider settling down with a nice guy she knows. Varya is appalled and more determined than ever to leave their small town and chase her bigger dreams. She storms into her room, packs what little she has, and refuses to let her mother belittle her. Then she's off, cycling down a lonely path. Her frantic mother sends a man named Stasik after her, but Stasik fails to get Varya to turn around. She misses the bus out of town and decides she'll hike instead. Getting in a truck with a man that could easily hurt her is crazy, but she's desperate. A city with a proper restaurant needs her. Varya arrives in the beautiful big city and finds a miserable apartment worth all her savings. If she's going to survive, she'll need a job soon. Getting a job proves difficult. Varya applies in numerous establishments with no luck, and the constant rejections start to take a toll on her. After a long day, she retires to her dysfunctional apartment and gets dirt on her face while trying to pry the windows open. With her vision obscured, she forgets that the tap is faulty and turns it on. Her apartment starts to flood, and she hurries downstairs to inform her neighbor because he'll be affected. The not-so-kind man berates her for not reading the sign on the bathroom mirror, but hurries to fix the issue. While she's cleaning, she finds a fascinating cookbook, and then her phone notifies her that there's a job opening at a restaurant. Varya takes out a book on sous chef Alex Yakutov, her idol, before she goes ahead to update her CV with claims that she's worked for Yakutov. When she wakes up the following morning, there's a strange woman in her apartment acting like she owns the place. The woman makes breakfast, and over the meal, Varya wants to know who she is and what she's doing at her house. The woman doesn't say anything, only mentioning that Varya should consider doing things differently. She's gone as fast as she came, and she's left behind a book she's authored. Varya comes knocking at her neighbor's door with an apology and a long explanation. His name is Taras, and he doesn't appreciate that Varya distracted him because now his breakfast is ruined. Varya becomes preoccupied with the forgotten book and almost loses it to a woman claiming it's hers. She gets a new haircut and takes a bus ride, looking for the next big restaurant. The woman, Ogla, from the apartment appears again while Varya is on the bus reading the book. She's practicing her proposal when the woman nags her for pretending to be someone else to get the job. The interview room is packed with other eager candidates wanting the position of sous chef at restaurant number 1. The restaurant's forte is surprises, and Chef Mykolai is neither surprised nor impressed with any of the dishes the candidates plan to cook for him. Varya pleads for a chance and invades security to get Mykolai's attention. She understands now he'd asked a trick question. He wasn't expecting to hear some haute cuisine. He was expecting to hear something simple. This indeed grabs Mykolai's attention enough to look at her CV with the claims that she's worked for Yakutov. Varya's boiled egg passes Mykolai's test, and he introduces her to the team of chefs, including the restaurant owner, Vitality. She's over the moon as she gets changed into uniform, but the janitor tells her not to get her hopes up. It's not about getting hired, it's about staying hired. Sous chef Lesya gives Varya a quick orientation and informs her that work starts immediately. Varya's enthusiasm makes her stand out like a sore thumb, and Lesya asks Mykolai that they verify her CV. Vitality happens to already be on that. Her boiled egg might have passed the test, but her poached eggs are unacceptable. Lesya asks Varya to forget what she knows and learn the restaurant's standards instead. Lesya quizzes her after she's studied for a while, and Varya answers all the questions correctly. This means she can now join the other chefs in cooking and serving. She's, however, treated like a typical newbie, left alone to clean up the day's mess. Varya sees her colleagues turn up at a nearby street party on her way home, but after a moment's hesitation, she heads home. She finds Taras in her apartment and isn't happy about it. He explains with no remorse that he's fixing her plumbing and electricity. The plumbing part benefits the two of them. Varya is still upset about his earlier attitude and begins nagging him rather than thanking him for his assistance. Taras, in return, is nonchalant about her sentiments. When he leaves, the strange woman appears to Varya. Varya has a thing against traditional Soviet cuisine. That's why she left home to chase her dream of preparing haute cuisine instead. At this point, Varia has accepted Ogla's random appearances and pays attention as she takes her through a recipe from her book that would impress Taras. Varia argues that she has no interest in pleasing or cooking for Taras. They're barely acquainted, and she isn't looking for romance. Lesya tasks Varia with preparing lunch for the staff. While she's on it, Ogla pops up and advises Varia to prepare something from her cookbook. Varia disagrees, stating she's working at a fine dining restaurant and Ogla's recipes are traditional. Varia serves lunch and gets harsh criticism in return. She storms out and laments to Ogla in a corner. She knows the food was good, but the other chefs have chosen not to accept her. Lesya senses competition and doesn't like it. In Varia and Lesya's absence, the other chefs, Mikolai included, agree that Varia is a good cook. They're just looking to instigate a little drama with two women in the kitchen. Mikolai asks for Lesya's opinion on Varia, so Lesya begrudgingly admits that Varia lacks culinary training and expertise, but she does have talent. While they're talking, a waitress comes asking if the restaurant can serve a traditional meal to a customer. Mikolai insists that the chefs can only prepare meals from the menu, no matter who's asking for something different. Taras wants to take Varia to the movies, and it's refreshing to see they're no longer at odds. They're even getting physically close, though that last part is only because Varia is trying to hide from the cookbook's original owner. After the movie, the pair start talking as they stroll through the quiet streets. Outside work, Varia loves to ride her bicycle. Taras, on the other hand, hates his job. He's hoping to travel the world someday. The clock strikes midnight, but Varia won't be running off like Cinderella. As if to say thank you, Taras swipes flowers from a garden, only to get hosed down for his trouble. Varia witnesses Vitality have an argument with Mikolai over the customer who wanted something outside the menu. Vitality argues that Mikolai should have made the meal, and reminds Mikolai that he's a chef, not the owner. Vitality words are final, not Mikolai's. Varia forgets to pick up a delivery, nearly costing her job. The other chefs remain harsh, with Sasha bluntly saying she'll be fired sooner or later. He shows no concern that she just took the fall for his smoking habit, saving him from losing his own job. She's about to call it a day when Sasha remembers his manners, somewhat. He invites her to join them at a bar, offering to buy her a drink. Taras shows up wanting to take Varia on another date, but she chooses instead to go to the bar with her colleagues. She's been longing to belong, and it seems they're finally warming up to her. Her colleagues advise Varia to surprise Mikolai so she can get on his good side. She retires home with a new goal in mind, but Ogla remains her voice of reasoning. She's drunk and useless as a chef at the moment. Best she gets some sleep instead. Varia oversleeps, but thankfully, Sasha has her back. He switched her off days to accommodate her hangover. Varia then decides to use the day to go grocery shopping. She plans to use a recipe from Ogla's book to impress Mikolai. She needs soused apples, and is directed to the original cookbook's owner, Rima. Varia gets a glimpse into Rima's past. She was part of a group that illegally sold baked goods during the Soviet era, using Olga's recipes. Rima isn't happy to hear that Varia wants to use Olga's recipes without giving Olga credit. She must not be ashamed of her Ukrainian origins. Varia and Rima have made a hearty meal that could go to waste. Next thing, kids are advertising a talented Ukrainian chef, drawing the attention of a social media influencer. Varia is suddenly running a cookout, and the people around are more accepting. Lesya has an emergency, so Varia is needed at the restaurant. While she's off, Taras gives Varia her accolades and asks the crowd to write good reviews about her. The influencer tags Varia's coin dish and her position in restaurant number 1. News travels fast, and a customer at the restaurant requests the new delicacy from the sous chef on their staff. The waitress comes to the kitchen complaining that all the customers want beetroot shots, as it's trending online. Varia summons the courage to say it's her dish, but Mikolai is livid. He agrees that Varia can prepare the dish to pacify customers, but after that, she's fired for messing with his menu. Varia also lies about the origin of the dish. She'd earlier given it a fancy name to cover its more traditional Ukrainian name. Sulking it up, she calls Taras to bring in some ingredients. The soup, disguised as a drink, is a hit, and Vitality tells Varia she'll be preparing a menu for one of their customers' events. Mikolai quits on the spot, but Vitality doesn't care for his sentiments. It's business. Varia battles with her conscience, struggling to pick new recipes for the menu she's been tasked with preparing. She confesses to Sasha what she's done, and he advises her not to ruin her career before it has even started. Ukrainian cuisine has no business in a fine dining restaurant. Varia starts to neglect Taras. There's also still tension at work, And Mikolai tells Lesya to scheme and hustle her way to becoming a chef, so rookies like Varya don't make a fool of her. As for him, he's quit, and there's no going back. Lesya takes Mikolai's advice and schemes. She calls Varya's mother and learns the truth about Varya. Varya goes to apologize to Taras, but they end up fighting instead. She throws fingers, but he leaves her with food for thought and a bucket load of the community's review from her last cookout. She needs to reevaluate what she wants, what makes her happy. Varya reads the reviews and cries all night. The next day she resolves to make local Ukrainian dishes look exquisite. Lesya exposes Varya during her moment to shine. With nothing left to lose, Varya admits she's lied, but only did it to fit in a place she realizes she doesn't belong. Lesya's ego prevents her from calling Varya back. Instead, she gives Varya her salary and struts off. But when it comes to Mikolai, Lesya is not so tough. She confesses her feelings, and Mikolai acknowledges them by going after her, stopping her in her tracks with a kiss. Varya decides to become a restaurant owner, but it's no easy task. The rent for a place is high, and securing a loan while jobless is near impossible. Taras is leaving and comes to say goodbye. He mentions he'll be gone for almost a year. Varya walks him to his ride, glad he's following his dream, but as for her, she'll need to face reality. While Vitality tries to convince Varya to return to his restaurant, Taras is missing Varya. He returns with a business proposal. They could start a cafe together because he believes in Varya and her talent. He has some savings he's willing to invest in her. If that doesn't warrant a passionate kiss under the pouring rain, nothing will. Neighbors start pitching in with their help and resources, anything to support the budding community cafe. Varya and Taras are now a couple, and together they begin their new journey. The community stands by their word, offering help so the cafe becomes a reality. Varya's story goes viral, and in 3 weeks, the cafe is ready to open. Everyone comes for the grand opening, including once rivals Lesya and Mikolai, who are now engaged and set to open their own restaurant in Poland. Restaurant number 1's star customer, Jamala, also comes with well wishes. Finally, there is Varya's mom. Taras invited her so mother and daughter could make up. Varya gives a speech, acknowledging Olga's cookbook and everyone that has helped shape the journey. She even gets more business partners from Rima's Ladies Club. Lesya steals the cookbook while everyone is distracted and celebrating. With the book now in her possession, the author pays a visit.